Hi folks, my name is Dom Lawson and I am a very, very big fan of heavy metal music. You may know me... Oh, just got a text message. Hang on a second, I'll just check, see if that's something really important. Stop me in my flow then. Okay, there you go. Right. Yes, I'll start again. I am an idiot. No. My name is Dom Lawson and I'm a very, very big fan of heavy metal music. You may know me from the popular... magazine. That was the word I was looking for. Fucking hell. It's not going well already, is it? Metal Hammer. Or you might know me from my other incarnation as a very, very unsuccessful musician. I think you're more likely to know me as a writer for Metal Hammer, really. But I will keep plugging my band on these things anyway. We're called Oath, by the way. Check us out. We're great. Yeah, so today I'm going to... oh, hang on a minute. Just have a little sip of the old cat piss there. Steaming hot cat piss today. Wonderful. I think I've just burnt myself. Yeah, today I'm going to talk to you. I mean, you know, when it comes to heavy metal, I like most heavy metal. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I draw the line at Axe Wound. You know, I'm not a fucking idiot, but I like most heavy metal on principle, just because it's heavy metal, really, and I like it. I think there's probably a flaw in that logic somewhere, but anyway. But there is no band that is more heavy metal, or that is that encapsulates the essence of heavy metal better, or with more strident disregard for towing the line, than Manowar, of course. And as you may well be aware, Manowar have a brand new album coming out, which may already be out. I don't know. I'm never sure on release dates of these things. But anyway, the brand new Manowar album is called The Lord of Steel, and I'm going to review it for you right now. Yeah, the thing is, I suppose you have to put this one into context, really, because obviously I'm a massive Manowar fan. Love Manowar, grew up listening to Manowar, like pretty much everything they've ever done. I think they're a fucking amazing live band, and a lot of their songs are very, you know, dear to my heart, really. And I've probably mentioned this before when I reviewed the Battle Hymns Redux record. That, you know, it's one of those things. You either like Manowar and buy into their world and embrace what they represent and kind of put a smile on your face and enjoy it, or you don't. And you know, I understand people not liking Manowar. I get that up to a point. What I don't really understand is people kind of sneering at them and kind of going, "Oh, it's just stupid and silly and all that," because it's, you know, lighten up. You know, it's like it's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be fun. And I find the band, you know, the sheer belief that they have. You know, there are plenty of bands out there doing the kind of comical, you know, hey, we're heavy metal, look at how heavy metal we are, we're dressing like it's 1983, woo, kind of thing. That kind of self-conscious retro thing, or the, you know, the power metal thing where bands are just ridiculously over the top because they think that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, Manowar are over the top by nature. That is, you know, that is what they are. That is what they represent. It makes me laugh that people don't think that Joey DeMaio and the rest of Manowar know how they're perceived. Of course they know how they're perceived. You know, they're well aware that they, you know, they push, for want of a better phrase, they push the cliches of heavy metal and the kind of cornerstones of heavy metal to their absolute limit. And they're more than aware of how that's perceived by people that aren't into it. You know, I mean, that's, you know, they're not stupid. They're intelligent men. They know the crack. You know, they're well aware of how these things work. The difference between them and other bands is that Manowar don't give a flying fuck, and they're going to carry on doing it anyway. And if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. And that's kind of why I like it, you know, because they're 100% sincere about what they do. It's not done because they're trying to create a particular effect or to you know, or to be more metal than anybody else. They just are more metal than anybody else. But anyway, the context of this new album, I don't know why I went into all that, it's bloody obvious, really. The context of this new album, the last Manowar studio album that came out about 4 or 5 years ago was Gods of War. Now, I think is out of all the albums Manowar have made, Gods of War polarised opinion, even amongst the die-hard fans, more than any other. It was a big, ornate, extravagant, ambitious, some would say self-indulgent, I would agree, in a good way, concept album. And I think the issue that it's not one of my favourite Manowar albums, I have to be honest, and the reason for that is the concept, I think, perhaps slightly overwhelmed the songs, and there were an awful lot of interludes, orchestral passages and stuff, you know, setting the scene for the tunes themselves. And I think I grew up with the the Manowar albums that I kind of listened to when I was younger. The ones that I grew up loving and still love are things like Into Glory Ride and Battle Hymns and Hail to England and Sign of the Hammer, and Kings of Metal. And Gods of War was a very different thing, it was very much a big conceptual piece, and one of those things that you either have to kind of surrender to entirely, or you're going to find it a little bit boring, I think. And it had some great songs on it, but there was too much of the orchestral stuff, and the kind of narrative, I think, occasionally overwhelmed the album. But that's not to say that it didn't have its strengths as well, and it certainly sounded absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you can't fault the production on the thing. But a lot of Manowar fans absolutely adore that record. I mean, I went to a listening session we heard some of the earlier demos for the Lord of Steel a month or two ago, and there were plenty of people there from the kind of die-hard Manowar fan club thing, and a lot. I was chatting with them, and a lot of them absolutely love Gods of War and think it's one of the best things Manowar has ever done. So there's diversity within the fan base, and people who loved it, and people who didn't, and that's fair enough. But anyway, the point is that this new album, I guess, had to be something different. They couldn't. Manowar have never repeated themselves in terms of making two albums in a row that sound the same. They've never been a band to limit themselves to one kind of expression of what the band is about. And so it was inevitable that this album would be, I guess, a more straightforward metal album than Gods of War, which isn't difficult because that wasn't straightforward at all. But the thing with the Lord of Steel, for me, the simple way to review this is by saying it's my favourite Manowar album in a long time, probably 20 years. I think the last one that I loved this much was Louder Than Hell, and I think I like this even more now that I've played it a good 20, 25 times. But I guess the key to this album is that it is brutally straightforward. I mean, it's 10 songs, 10 heavy metal songs, no fucking about, sounds amazing, heavy as fuck, definitely sonically the heaviest thing they've ever done. It's incredibly direct. There's no faffing around with the lyrics either. It's you know exactly where you stand with Manowar on this record. It's an album that says we are incredibly fucking heavy metal, and if you don't like it, you can just kill yourself, and we don't care. Up yours, basically. And it's, I don't know. I struggle with when people say, "Oh, I really like heavy metal," but I don't really like Iron Maiden or Manowar or Judas Priest. I don't like that kind of cheesy stuff. And you just kind of think, well, you don't really like heavy metal, then, do you? Heavy metal's a style of music. It's not. I love a lot of the new bands, that are kind of metal influenced or have metal elements in their sound and also other stuff. But in terms of what does a heavy metal band sound like, well, it sounds like Manowar, or it sounds like Maiden, or it sounds like Priest. That's what heavy metal sounds like. And if you don't like Manowar, it's fair enough. It doesn't mean you're not a metal fan or anything. But I do find it curious that people are so uptight about Manowar, really. But anyway, who cares? This review isn't for those people. This review is for people who like Manowar and who like heavy metal. Or of course, if you just like listening to me talking bollocks, then this review's for you as well, I suppose. Cat piss. Gosh, a very good quality cat piss today. A little bit coppery. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to talk you through the tracks on The Lord of Steel, because I just think it's a fucking brilliant record. The title track is the first track, and it's one of those things, like you kind of, people associate Manowar with, I guess, with the big epics and the kind of anthemic tracks, but they actually do really good kind of speed metal numbers as well, and that's what The Lord of Steel is. It's effectively a speed metal tune, and it kicks off with just this brilliant classic archetypal heavy metal riff. Eric Adams is just singing brilliantly on this whole album. It's stunning, and just blazing solos. It's not a ridiculously fast speed metal track, but it's just incredibly powerful. It's one of the best things that Manowar have done in a long time, I think. The second track is called Manowar, and nobody does self-referential lyrics like Manowar. Half their songs are about themselves and about how awesome heavy metal is, and that's kind of the way it should be, I think. I think that's part of why being a Manowar fan is you're part of the brotherhood, you're part of the sisterhood, of course. You're part of the family, and you like going to a Maiden gig, going to a Manowar gig's the same. Everybody's there because they love Manowar, and there's kind of a culture around the band that kind of transcends just being a heavy metal band. That it's about Manowar, and so the lyrics are often very self-referential. And Manowar, of course, is a tribute to the fans. And it observes that we fight for metal, which of course we do. Not literally. We don't go around attacking people, but you know, we might do if we'd had enough to drink. That's again brilliant. That's a classic, you know, mid to high tempo Manowar track. You know, just brilliant. Born in a Grave, one of my favourite tracks on this album. Born in a Grave. Born in a Grave is one of those really pounding, brutal mid-tempo numbers with a massive chorus. It's just, I don't know, I love it. It reminds me of the early stuff, I think, a little bit. It reminds me of the kind of Hail to England era, something like Blood of My Enemies. It's that kind of, you know, that kind of heaviness, which is just fucking brilliant. Then Righteous Glory, that is the big ballad, the big showpiece ballad. It's got a whiff of Stairway to Heaven in there somewhere. There's like a kind of Mellotron-y thing going on in the background at one point. I could be wrong. Might be a flute or something, I don't know. But Righteous Glory is a big dramatic ballad, but very dark. That's the thing with this album. It's not it's one of the darkest records that Manowar have ever made. There's a real sense of intensity and brutality to it, even the slower tracks, you know, and it's and Righteous Glory is just, I mean, you know, it's called Righteous Glory. I don't think you need to know much more than that. It's just a fucking brilliant ballad. And then there's Touch the Sky, which is classic mid-pace Manowar, inspirational message. You know, I mean, again, people can sneer all they like, but I find the honesty and straightforwardness of Manowar's lyrics and the way that, you know, they talk about unity and you know, being righteous in the face of arseholes trying to put you down and all the rest of it. It's actually quite a punk rock message, really. You know, it's about you know, being proud of who you are and not giving a fuck, you know, and I kind of respect that a lot. I think you can get, you know, it's a staple of metal and punk lyrics, but Manowar just do it brilliantly, you know. And Touch the Sky is great. I think it's a really powerful tune. Blacklist is another one. It's like 7 minute, another epic. It's again, Blacklist has this kind of this feel of Into Glory Ride about it. It's got that kind of hatred, heaviness to it, which is just fucking brilliant. I love that. And then we get to the really fun stuff, Expendable, which of course is inspired by the Sly Stallone film, The Expendables. And hopefully this song will get used on the soundtrack of Expendables 2. It'd be insane if it wasn't. It's a really up-tempo, brutal number with a catchy chorus. I'm expendable, that's my claim to fame, which is just fantastic. Ridiculously catchy, short and to the point, and just, you know, crushing heavy metal. What more do you want? Then El Gringo. I mean, I think everyone's heard El Gringo. If you haven't heard El Gringo, then you either don't like Manowar or you're very lazy because it's available online. You can hear it, and it's inspired by a film called El Gringo, and it's got it's kind of like really pounding heavy metal, but with a spaghetti western vibe. It's just amazing, you know. I just wonder what's wrong with people that they don't like Manowar. Really, what the fuck? Yeah, just phenomenal. Anyway, and then. Delicious. Cat piss. Annihilation. I mean, you know, the title says it all, crushing heavy metal. Something that's worth mentioning on this album as well is that Joey DeMaio's bass sound is the most obscene, obnoxious thing you've ever heard in your life. I mean, you can almost hear his equipment melting with the sheer power of what's going through it. You know, Joey's obsessed with, he calls it his world of insanity, and he's obsessed with, you know, really kind of getting the most power possible out of his bass rig, you know, and pushing everything to the maximum, getting the most clear sounds of it. It's not distorted, but just getting, you know, the heaviest, loudest sound. Well, this is distorted as well. I mean, he's really gone for the distortion on this, and the bass sound sometimes is like, you know, it's just fucking, it's like the world imploding, you know, and it's it won't be to everyone's tastes, the bass sound on this album, I suspect, but I love it. I mean, I play in a band that, you know, the only instrument other than the drums is incredibly distorted bass, so I suppose I'm biased, but I think this bass sounds fucking amazing on this. And I heard some of it on really, really, you know, tens of thousands of pounds worth of speakers at the studio in Holland, and I mean, I very nearly, a little bit of poo came out because it was, you know, it's just fucking outrageous bass sound. So Annihilation, you can really hear the bass on that. It was fantastic. And then the final track. Now, if this isn't the best song title I'm going to hear all year, I'll be amazed. The final track on The Lord of Steel is called Hail, Kill and Die. Now, Manowar will have a song called Halen Kill, which is a live favourite and a great song. But how do you up the ante from that? Well, Hail, Kill and Die. There you go. It's a brutal, slow, mid-tempo kind of track with a great kind of chorus that goes dun 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 dun, hail dun 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 dun, kill dun 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 dun, die. And you know what isn't. Who wouldn't like that? I don't understand. If you don't like that, you either take yourself far too bloody seriously, Or no, that's it. You probably take yourself far too bloody seriously. You know, it's heavy metal, for God's sake. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be inspiring. It's supposed to be heavy, and it's supposed to be metal, and that's what Manowar are through and through. And this album is just a fucking nuts. So yeah, so there you go. There you have it. Lord of Steel by Manowar. It's the brand new album. I think it's the best thing they've done since the early days. I think it's phenomenal. The sound of it is crushing. All 10 songs are brilliant. There's not a weak track on it. The production's killer. The lyrics are brilliant as always. Classic Manowar. It's quite a varied album as well. It's not, it's not all one pace, or there's no kind of, no lulls in the proceedings. There's no filler tracks. There's nothing. It's just pure fucking Manowar from beginning to end. And I can't wait to hear these songs played live. I can't wait for them to return to the UK so that we can hear this stuff. Because Halen Kill and Die. I mean, the Lord of Steel is just going to take the place apart. Just all of it, really. Fucking hell, I love Manowar. So there you go. That's my review of the Lord of Steel. I'm going to just neck the rest of this cat piss, and that's it. We don't really need to know what I'm going to do after I switch this thing off, do you? Because it's not relevant to your life in any way, any more than the last 15 minutes. So yeah, Satan bless you all. Heavy metal, and I'll see you soon for more verbal hijinks. Cheers.